Jed Stugart from Lindenwood joins us. Coach, do I officially find you in St. Charles? Because I know you've had quite a summer so far.
Yeah, I'm officially in St. Charles, where I love to be. But yeah, we got to have few little excursions this summer. You know, you got to kind of stay a little bit sane a little bit. So, but I'm so excited to be back and getting ready for football, no
All
doubt.
right. So excursion is a trip to down under to watch your daughter play basketball. Among those this summer, and we're going to get into another one here in detail in just a moment. But what a great opportunity, and then a contract afterwards. Kind of take us through that whole sequence.
Yeah, it was fun. I kind of the timing worked out. Gracie finished her college basketball career here at Maryville in university. Had a great experience. They lost in the GLVC championship game in March, early March, and about a about 3 weeks before that, was kind of approached by a team over in Toowoomba, Australia, that kind of reached out. We were trying to find a point guard, and they started kind of watching her a little bit, and then they signed her to a contract. So 10 days later, she was over in Australia. Angie, my wife, and her got to go over with her, kind of get things set up. And 10 days later, she was playing a game in Australia, and so and just. That whole season went really well. They just won the grand final. They call the grand final championship, the QSL One League, last Saturday night. So first time in 50 years they won the championship. So Gracie got to be a part of that experience, and now she's back here in the States and she's fired up for football. That's what she's definitely a football fan.
So, what will she do in the interim after completing school and this professional contract? Are there more to come, or more opportunities to come, or perhaps here in the States? Kind of take us through that too.
Well, she's right now she's planning on going back to Australia probably in February. There's either going back where she came from. It's funny, I kind of put the agent hat on now, because now I'm kind of acting as her agent a little bit while we're trying to figure out kind of the next step. They've got a league called they have the NBL One League, they have the Queensland League. There's a few pro leagues over there, and so now it's just kind of seeing what opportunities are there. She loved her experience at Toowoomba. They obviously want her back, and so there's an opportunity. And yeah, as of now, I don't know if there's any opportunities in the States. I think but she's really excited about going back to Australia, and but she'll get to be home for a while. And you know, she needs to take. She hadn't stopped playing since September when her college season started, and she just got done Saturday. She only had 10 days off, so she needs about a month worth of rest. She's got a lot of things to heal up for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, so that's just a portion of your exciting summer or off season, shall we say, because it encompasses that. Uh, Folks don't know a lot about your background. Shame on me for not asking it, both in person a few years ago and then this thing. But we have video of you at Hot Summer Nights in St. Charles singing on stage, doing an Eagles song,
Yeah.
and that famous Seven Women on My Mind. So catch us up with that. And absolutely, there's more important things to talk about in terms of your career than football is right now. So we want to get these updates from you.
Well, I completely blame our great football ops guy Keegan. Him and Hunter, our O-line coach, they started talking with Beth down at the chamber. They were having hot summer nights. Lindenwood and was partnering up with St. Charles, and of course they knew uh, about my music background, and so I hold them personally responsible for hooking that up where they. So I got to go up on the stage and with the band and kick off the hot summer nights, which was a blast. Hadn't done that in a long time, and and so it was a fun experience. But yeah, I hope those guys are the responsible party.
Available on X, and as we always like to say in a really smart aleck fashion, X and the internet are undefeated. So I want to
That's
just
right.
encourage you to go check that video out. All right, football. Team got hot really late in the season last year, and that has to have some kind of momentum in a positive fashion for you to carry through the offseason and as you get ready for 25.
Yeah, it did. It felt we had we had a positive feeling coming out of that season. I appreciate the fact that the guys, losing in an overtime game to end the game, sometimes still kind of stings a little bit because we felt like we were so close there. But you have to kind of take a deep breath after that's all done, like you said. What I was proud of our guys is we had, about there in the middle of the season, we kind of had a little injury bug that kind of hit us, and we did not have a great game when we were at Tech, and sometimes a game like that can really unravel a team. And we turned around, came back, and had a very good week the next week, and a big win. And how our guys responded to that adversity, is about them. It was about our locker room. It was about the guys. It wasn't about us coaches. I mean, it was about the guys saying, "Hey, we need to bounce back off this loss." And they turned around, and that's when we kind of went on a little bit of a momentum run a little bit, and felt like we were making some great strides there. And so that momentum carried into spring football. Without a doubt, I could see the energy. I felt the enthusiasm, but there was a little bit of a chip on their shoulder a little bit. It wasn't like, "Hey, we've arrived." It was like, "Hey, this." I think we showed. You wonder, a couple of years in this, you have to start wondering. Okay, when are we? When do we feel like we belong? When do you feel like And I think toward the second half of that season, we started realizing like, "Hey, we can do this. We can play with anybody. We need to. It's a too tough of a league to just show up and play. You gotta come and bring it for 4 quarters." But I think that's when the confidence of feeling like, "Hey, we do belong here." And now we've got to we're not satisfied. We still got a lot of work to do, but at least there was a lot of excitement, and that carried into the summer as well. I've loved our energy and enthusiasm this summer.
Have reason to be optimistic with this offensive side. We'll start there on that side of the ball. A quarterback in Glance, the running back in Hall, wide receiver in Bond, tight end in Fugit. I mean, you appear to have key leaders at some of those key position areas on the offensive side of the football.
Absolutely. We have healthy leadership. I think that's the thing. We always say that leadership's about credibility. And when you look at the guys that you've mentioned, their credibility starts in and the way they work out, the way they handle themselves off the field. And that inspires, and so of the guys that we have, that you mentioned, but we obviously bring back a lot of guys offensively. Now, we've got we graduated 4 of our 5 offensive linemen. You got Gavin coming back as a starter, but I've been really encouraged by our youth that we recruited, and also some additions we've added. So I feel like there's a little pressure on the offensive line to kind of step up, and I believe we did very well. We were top of the conference there, in rushing in some categories, and so there's a bar that's there, and it starts up front. But I feel like I feel very good with the guys that we have. But there's some great opportunities for competition this fall to move into that offensive line, and that's going to be fun. But when you have like I said, it kind of starts when you have the experience of quarterback coming back, because Nate now has a grasp of the offense. I think it was still a lot of learning in the season last year, and but now the spring and the summer, he has a more grasp of the offense. That gives you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, 17 touchdown passes, 2,333 yards for Glance last season. In the last minute we have, let's talk about defense. Going to talk to Jaden Patrick here in a little bit, but
Yeah.
on the back end of that defense. But what should we be looking for there?
Well, one of the things we really needed to tackle this offseason was depth in our defense across all the positions. We felt like last year we were pretty young in a lot of areas, and so when we kind of had that little injury bug that everybody has, that was not an excuse. Everybody had the injury bug that's going to happen during the season, but I felt like some of those hitting the same positions just week in and week out. And we kept, especially in the linebacker core, we kind of started, losing a lot of linebackers. And so we've added depth there, but also the kids that we recruited, our last year's freshman class that's starting to step into these opportunities. So we feel deeper in a lot of positions. You'll hear from Jaden, who's a returning starter, and has been I was laughing at the last save. I feel like we've been together for like 10 years. Jaden was, with us for a while now. So he's a veteran. He's a leader. He's a player, really good player for us. So, I think him leading the back end, in our defensive back room is very key. But especially the front seven, you look at where all a lot of injuries can happen in that front seven. I think it's, deep, really good defenses are number one, they're sound, but they're also deep, because you got to be able to have the depth to kind of make it through a season like this. So that's what I'm excited about defensively. And
Oh,
we bring Devin, kind of highlight, Devin is Edwards was a captain last year, and a guy that, was coming off of a torn pec and surgery. And so he didn't get to finish the season out, but he's healthy. And know you got Devin coming back, kind of anchoring that defense in the middle between the front and the back, gives us a lot of high optimism as well.
got a really interesting schedule, and we're out of time, but this will be the last one. You go to Charleston Southern, you go to Miami of Ohio, App State. How did you go about putting that schedule together?
Well, I mean, a lot of it, we picked up Appalachian State late. We had with Missouri State moving up to FBS. That kind of opened up with their schedule. They had to make some changes. That opened up an opportunity. So App State kind of was looking for a game right when that happened, and so we were able to pick that game up. I think it'll be a fun experience, just even off the field, just going to a great environment. Our guys will get to experience a beautiful setting there, and again, and then not too far of a trip to go to Miami of Ohio too. Obviously the opportunity to play some FBS teams kind of helps us, but also it's a great experience for our guys. So I really like our schedule. I know we're going to go see some cool places, but I think the schedule is last year was kind of a grind. That our off season or our non-conference schedule. That does not mean this is easy, but it just I feel like even with the travel and home, it's not as much of a grind maybe as it was last year. And so, but I also think we're a different team than last year. We got a lot of maturity coming back, and a lot of the experience that we've had that's going to kind of help take us into this season with guys being a little bit more seasoned.
Man, you've had a fantastic run the last few months. Congratulations on that. Good luck to this upcoming season. And as always, thanks for joining us. We'll see you at some point along the road.
Awesome, Bob. Good to see you again, man. I always enjoy being with you. We'll bring the guitar out next year.
Hey, you're coming to Nashville too this season. Don't forget, we might have to find
I
a
like
spot
it.
for you.
I know a couple places.
I'm sure you do. Thanks, Coach. Good to see you.
Take care.